Yeah, red ring of death. Yo, I want to say this and talk about this, and this really goes out to a lot of the people who are, how can I say it? The younger gamers. There we go. The younger gamers. The gamers who are not familiar with the red ring of death. I really want to bring this up, and this is something I brought up on my own. I wanted to ask everyone, especially those who have dealt with repairing. Some people have dealt with just playing the system, working on the system. But the red ring of death, I think to this day, is the biggest hardware failure for any console to date. Right? And that's just me. Okay. I think it's my own personal opinion. Excellent. The worst to date. I remember PlayStation 3s, I think, there were certain failure rates, and there's always going to be a failure rate for systems that are released. People don't expect, systems to be laying certain ways, stood up certain ways, playing for a period of times. It takes a lot of testing for that. And I know people think like, oh, how could you miss that in testing? Oh, you're so terrible. Well, a lot of times when you go through testing, you don't get to test in certain conditions, or you test it in one condition and don't go outside of that. And that causes a problem as well. So in this case, the Xbox 360. For those who don't know, Xbox 360 is probably one of the greatest consoles that have ever come out ever. I will say that because let me clarify a couple things. Okay. If you haven't modified, it was just so many things you could do. And I remember the original Xbox, so many things you can do. And when you opened up the Xbox 360, so many things. But the red ring of death was something that everybody dealt with. Your moms, dads, children, everybody. So I want to ask everybody in the chat, did everybody that had an Xbox 360 have a red ring of death? I would ask that first. You know what my answer would be? Yes. Every single human being first had an Xbox 360, may not have it now, or has had an Xbox 360, has had a red ring of death. Okay? Everybody. Now, my man Reigns Honest, he got a good comment there. So I got red rings and didn't see my Xbox for 4 months. Microsoft gave me a year ago and 10,000 Microsoft points to make up for it. My PlayStation buddies made fun of me till they till they say sorry. Have a good night. Man, my dude, shout you out, man. And nice comment. Nice comment. I will agree. I will agree. My man Magnus said X clamp. He know about that X clamp. Okay, but sending your system in was something people were doing frequently. Now, Reigns of Onyx, he sent the system in. He sent it in. Right. He sent it into Microsoft. They held the system. It took about 4 months, but he got it back. He got Xbox Live and you got 10,000 Microsoft points. I'm not going to lie. That's a beautiful deal. But you lost the system for 4 months due to a failure on their part. So, Reigns, you're a good one because, see, I come from the I'm just going to tear it up trying to fix my own stuff. And if the worst happens, I do a Wally swap. You know what I mean? I was Wally swapping back then hard. You know what I mean? My system messed up, Wally swap. And for those who do not know what a Wally swap is, let me clarify. A Wally swap is when you have something purchased from Walmart, okay? And you swap out your old crap and take it up to Walmart and return it in. Yes, and get your money back. Yeah, okay, there's serial numbers and some things. If you're not hip to the game, you're not hip. And I'm not here to educate you. Okay, I gave you the game is to be sold, not to be told. I gave you enough juice. But that's the Wally swap, right? So my system messed up back Wally swapping. But yo, I read this thing called the Tau trick. Oh my goodness. Y'all, who remembers the Tau trick? Now, guys, I want y'all to know, before I ever opened up my Xbox 360, I tested this thing called the Tau trick. I had a red ring of death. This was, right at the beginning. Wally swap. One thing about a Wally swap is you need to cash up front. Okay. and I ain't had the cash up front. I ain't even gonna cap. And I was a little low on funds. So I couldn't do no Wally swap. Wally swap wasn't happening. I got rent. I got kids. Nah. Okay. So I got the red ring of death. It was send your system in. I'm like, damn, Nick, you didn't even register your system when you bought it. Ah, man, what are you doing? You can register it now. You go look to register. What? I don't fall under warranty. Oh, man, it was just so many terrible things in this situation. It was just bad. So I had to fix it myself. So I seen this thing called the towel trick. So I watched the video. This YouTube was popping back then. Okay, YouTube was popping. I want to say this was back in, man, damn, this is so far back, 2005. Yo, I'm old as hell, but it was like 2005, something like that, right? So I seen the video, and this dude was like, yo, you just wrap your towel up, man. You want to make sure that you tuck the towel in tight. I got a couple towels. This dude got like 20 towels. He was just wrapping it. I'm like, damn, he wrapping it like a hot potato, right? So then he's like, oh, and he has to, point where he can turn it on. So he turns it on, and the system's on. He's like, yeah, you're going to go ahead and leave it for about 10 to 15 minutes or overheat, and you'll come back and you unwrap it. So then, man, they show the video cuts. He comes back, he unwraps it. It's a blinking light for overheating. One light. I believe it's the bottom left light. If that one's blinking, I think that means overheating. So it blinks, it overheated. You take it off, you unwrap everything. He says, let it cool down, right? You let it sit there. And then next thing you know, after it cools completely down, you turn it back on, it works. Now, the funny thing? It actually worked. But everybody now knows the reason of why it worked. It was actually bad manufacturing on the boards. Just the way the boards were. There were X clamps, which is something Magnus mentioned. A lot of people right away would get their system and remove the X clamps. I forgot the screw size. It was like an M4 screw or something like that they would actually put in place. They would get like a nylon and a metal washer instead. And this would be a fix. A lot of people no longer had the issue. There were some people that still had the issue because of the flexing of the board. A lot of people had their systems laying flat, and over time, the heat would cause flexing of the board. And for those who are not familiar, flexing means bending. If the board's bending, of course, that's not good. So you would get red ring of death. There were people who had their system standing up. I'm not sure if it varied, the red ring of death, if your system was standing up. But people would have their, wrapped up systems in this towel. And what you were doing is you were just heating the solder back together for a moment. Oh, things work great for a moment. And then it happens again. And guess what? You towel trick it and it stops working again. And it only gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until the towel trick no longer works. And then you're repairing your system. So I want to talk about that because there are a lot of people complaining nowadays about the games that are being released and how shitty they are, as you have a right to do so. There are a lot. But understand, there are older gamers who come from a time where our systems didn't work. And for the kiddos out there, if you're not buying a system, your mama, your daddy buy it, right? So you don't know what it's like to spend $300, $400, $500 on a system that fails you. And not only just fails you, you start wondering, is it something you did? And that's what pisses you off even more. Is it because like, damn, did I play it too much? Did I not keep it cool enough? Was there something I did? And then you get to looking and see it's actually Microsoft failed us. So I want to speak on that because I want everybody to know that this era of gaming was one of the harsh, most saddest, happiest moments ever in gaming. And I want to shout out everybody who's part of it. And that's it.